Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Romero. I want to do a segment on stress talk. I want to tell you what stresses me out. Well, right now, since we're in a we're in a time lapse, so since it's COVID-19, I have to wear a mask. But since I'm almost the only person around, I don't have to wear a mask. But I want to point out a few things to my stress talk or what bothers me, so I can let you know. And so, unlike some people that are spiritual that can deal with the situation, some people are not. And so they need people who are spiritual to join in and help them out. So this is what I want to complain about. Okay. All right. We work 365 days a year to be acknowledged as doing the good things. But as soon as we make one mistake, people point you out. And that's the only thing we remember. We collect them and we use them against each other. So that's one thing that really stresses me out. Another thing is, we as people want to be acknowledged and successful and all these things, but the things we do besides trying to be acknowledged are completely defeats the purpose of being someone important. I want to say, for instance, that, when I work towards something and I don't know how to describe it, it bothers me. If someone is distracting me, and it's really been them that's distracting me to complete what I have to complete. It shouldn't take that long if you work so hard on things. Because I can't stand a person that sees something good in you and gives it to somebody else as if it's theirs to give away, or if it's the other person should have it, like you didn't work hard for it to become what it is, for it to be acknowledged by someone else to find, envy, and contradict it. I didn't like the outcome of the presidential election. I don't mind Joe Biden as the president. Ever would I have not ever mind. Joe Biden is the people's person that we like. But the way the media had treated Donald Trump with sedition and then tried to claim that he was the sedition one, I didn't like it. It was a complete massacre. It was a violation of the sedition laws completely to walk the entire public into the aesthetic repression and then bring them to the point where they're going to burst a bubble at some point and then say it was somebody else that did it. That is something I want to mark down on my stress talk agenda. Now, here's what it is. I think they should create a policy. The policy that I think they should create is that you cannot incite insurrection, but in this situation, you cannot use word acts that inflict people to have resentment in a way where it's going to inflict them to be harmful, and mention a person's name within the same subject in an oppositional manner. Because what it does, it creates these directives and these pledges where people think that they're going to achieve things that they might gain in the future if they act them out. And so what happens is the words make them feel like that, and the stories make them feel another way. And by some type of procedural association, it's associated with reaching out to attack what's been harmful, like Holocaust, World War II, and slavery, and then looking at the person that did something wrong that you're in opposition with, and all together in the same sense, it's just like, oh yeah, we assassinated this person before, and we did, and their names involved. So they should create a law that repels people working in the press, the FCC, that they cannot publish articles like this, and they should be penalized for that, because what we experienced was not what was being said. Okay, another stress talk that I have is also, I cannot stand, like I said, when people give your stuff away to other people, like the other person should have what you worked for, or like you didn't work hard for your stuff after it's become what it's become, and they take it and give it away to other people. It's called, in the Bible, it's called waywardism. It's also called covetous, being covetous. And those two behaviors is also insinuated with describing the end of times, the end of the world. And so when people behave like this, it's just a sign that we're becoming civilization, an Earth, a planet that's getting closer to that point of, what do you call it, apocalypse, the apocalyptic state. But that's not what I'm talking about. So I want to talk about, I want to use terms. We all work towards things. Individually, we work towards our personal goals and their purposes and what we expect out of them. By doing that, we create a desire. When we don't do that, when we're out of the content and the context of what we do, we're in something else. And so when you're working towards something that you want for yourself and you're out of its context, maybe that's the reason why it's not completely working out. You know, in literature, when you write an introduction and a body with details, it's called plagiarism. When you use something out of the context that you don't reference that where you got it from. And so in mine, I do the stress talk once in a while when things change, The American people were robbed for religion and the rest of the world calls them peasants because we aren't a civilization that has to be raised on religion. The why is it missing? It's a privilege, right? But okay, that's not a good example. But here it goes. So each and every individual does something they work towards, and it grows. And eventually, you are rewarded because practice makes perfect. In the Bible, it says that other people should not reap what other people sow. Reaping what other people sow should be a sin. When I work 8 hours a day for forecast future labor, for a decent salary, by the time I'm receiving my paycheck, I think it should go in my pockets. Okay, it's going to get cut in half for the taxes, but I don't think another person should be reaping what I sow. My name should be on the check, right? So every person works towards something. And when it grows, they should be awarded that outcome. But in my stress talk, this is what's going on. It seems like before the progress is complete of what's been worked on, it seems like somebody's living in those parts that they perceive that this will be the part that will be reaped from being sown, and they live in that part only. So by the time you finish, the sow would be reaped to them. And that is completely a chaotic, hostile situation. And so that's my stress talk, don't convince yourself all of these things you want to believe about yourself when everything is just wrong. If you didn't work for something that doesn't belong to you, you don't have the right to speak for it. We all have a right to the public and the property of whatever is built around the infrastructure, but you don't have a right to claim somebody's stuff and tell people what to do with it or have your way with it or take the credit for it. Like I told you, it's called plagiarism, and then, when the person who worked years for their stuff and somebody else is being awarded or getting the job that was developed by that person, what does that say what type of people we are or the type of, the capabilities? It's probably the reason why nobody likes to work hard, because other people are taking their stuff for themselves, like bandits and vandals, like the Visigoths and the Merovingians, whatever happened a long time ago in Rome. But that's just a piece of what I want. That's my stress talk, and I do also have other things to say about stress talking and all these type of situations. But for now, this goes in the context with the content which I am describing. Okay, so I hope you like that. Ramir.